the Fanatic Brackets Season 3, Episode 1. I am your host, Nick. With me, as always, is my co host, Joel. Today, for this first episode, we are joined by one of the hosts of the Talk for Glory podcast, Enigma V4. What's going on, man? How's everything?
Hey guys, thank you for having me on this podcast. I've seen a lot of your work. I've known some of your guesses, and thank you for reaching out to me. I think we were supposed to do something like a year or two ago, but
A while ago,
just shit happened. But I'm glad that this is a better time for us to collab and honestly just be talking about wrestling.
Of course, man. I appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your day and agreeing to do this. We really appreciate it, man. I'm excited to chop it up, talk about this bracket, and get into it. But before we get into the bracket, I always typically ask our guests. You chose the topic of the best WWE United States champions, specifically from 2010 through 2020. Was there a reason that you came up with that topic of choice?
So I thought of this because the United States is one of my favorite championships throughout all of wrestling. So the United States Championship was in this weird limbo of like good holders, good character work, good matches, where it's like at one point we had like Kofi Kingston putting on bangers, and then we went through a small period of The Miz showing amazing character work. Then we went through a weird like forgetting phase with Dean Ambrose. We had iconic runs like Cesaro, or back then as Antonio Cesaro, and then we also had people like Roman Reigns, which a lot of people forget that he was the United States champion throughout the 20s. So as we like go down the brackets, it's going to be fun to talk about everyone and how they were as champion.
Of course. Can't wait to see who we eventually choose and wins this bracket. But before we do, for those who are watching or listening who have not watched an episode of this show before, the rules are as follows. We're going to go matchup by matchup. Each of us are going to be given who we think was a better champion between the two participants. Whichever participant gets 2 or 3 votes, obviously between the 3 of us, we'll move on to the next round all the way until the very end. It is an opinion-based show, so there is no specific way to look at it. We can look at it as who had the better reigns, more defenses, better impact. Any way we want, doesn't matter. It's just our opinion and our opinions only. But let's get right into the bracket to determine the winner. First matchup, we're going to start off with you first, Enigma, because you're our guest. Who do you think was the better United States champion, Kofi Kingston or Shinsuke Nakamura?
I'm going to go with Kofi Kingston just because he held the title during a time of nobody really cared about like character work. It was all about, just put on a good match. And I can name you 3, 4 Kofi Kingston U.S. title matches rather than with Shinsuke Nakamura. When you look at him in his first United States Championship run, the only thing I can kind of tell you about is that I remember he lost to R-Truth.
Yeah. That wasn't good. That was not a good time for him. Yeah.
Tough time for that.
Yeah, rough time for the U.S. title.
I know, but Kofi Kingston is the good choice. Joel, who would you think, Kofi Kingston or Shinsuke Nakamura?
Yeah, I also got Kofi. He had better opponents. I know the second one, I think he held for like a week or something like that, or a month. Didn't really do anything, but he had way better matches than Nakamura. Nakamura did hold it for a bit longer, but he also did lose, like Enigma said, to R-Truth. He also lost to Rey Mysterio during that title reign for a spot in the WWE Cup. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, yes.
And then he also lost at Survivor Series to the IC champ, Seth Rollins. So the title run wasn't that good. But at least Kofi, it was during a period of WWE that you really had to shine out there, and he was putting on good matches in the mid-card.
Yeah, 1,000%. I'm going to agree with both of you. I'm also going to choose Kofi Kingston because, bouncing off what both of you said, I mean, during that time, I feel like the mid-card division was at its best during those years from 2010 to 2012. Kofi Kingston, even though his title reigns weren't necessarily that long, they were great matches. I remember the match that he won it where he defeated Sheamus in a tables match.
I love that.
Yeah, and that was a dope-ass match with a dope-ass finish where he did his finishing move off the corner into the table to win it. Like off the top rope, the outside of the ring. which is not really necessarily a finish that we see, but it was creative and it was cool.
I thought Sheamus was going to turn into a powerbomb.
I mean, yeah, that it could have
Yeah.
been. I mean, who knows? But like, it was still a good match, a good move, and it was a memorable time. Yeah, like I said, I know they were short reigns, but it was more memorable than Shinsuke's. And as you guys mentioned before, Shinsuke's reign, when he lost it to R-Truth, supposedly it was an accident. Again, I'm pretty sure it was an accident. I don't think Truth was supposed to win it, and that's what people remember most from that title reign, was that it was an accident, not that like he had good matches or anything.
Yeah, nobody really nothing really stands out from the title reign.
Yeah,
He went months without defending it as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
because he refused. It was like storyline that he refused that Hell in a Cell to defend it. That Paige had to like order him to defend it. It was a lot going on with him as that champion, but like nothing important.
Nothing
a lot
too
happened,
crazy,
but
yeah.
nothing important.
Right.
Exactly. But again, the fact that Kobe had shorter reigns, but yet more memorable times, that says a lot about Shinsuke's reign. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and both of Kofi's, he beat Sheamus for one reign, Cesaro for this. I think that was the second reign or
Yeah,
the
he
third
did.
reign.
Cesaro was like white hot during that.
Yeah,
Exactly,
that was
yeah.
a big win. That was a
Yeah.
big win, and then
both of
he
them were
also
big wins.
yeah, and then he was feuding with Cesaro and Ziggler during that time, two of the
Oof.
biggest guys like in the mid card division. So Kofi was
Didn't he
hot
also
during
like
that
work
time.
with Swagger for a bit?
Yes,
I think so. Yes,
I believe that was one of the defenses.
Yeah,
Shout out
Yeah.
Kofi, man.
Yeah,
He did his
Kofi's
thing.
a great mid carder.
Yeah,
He is
definitely.
Exactly, that made him all the way to Kofi Mania. So he deserved all that success, and that's pretty crazy. But yeah, Kofi Kingston does move on to the next round. On to the next matchup, we have Daniel Bryan's mid card reign, United States Championship reign, going up against Dean Ambrose. Joel, we're gonna start off with you with this one. Who do you think was the better U.S. champion during those years?
All right, so this one's tough to me because Bryan, I think, had a more successful title reign, but Ambrose's was more important because even though he didn't defend it a lot, it was the first Shield title. It was a title to get people to take them serious.
Yeah.
So it did mean a lot, but 9 out of the 16 matches he had on TV that year, he lost. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he held it for 351 days. Like, he had the longest reigning. I think he had beat MVP, I think was holding it before him.
Yeah,
like that.
MVP was the prior longest holder.
Yeah. So even though he held it longer, I don't think it was as successful as Daniel Bryan's. Going from the storyline from NXT and then wrestling with guys like Miz, Morrison, Ziggler, Sheamus. So I have to go with Daniel Bryan.
Ooh, that's a good pick. Enigma, who do you have, Daniel Bryan or Dean Ambrose?
I got to go with Daniel Bryan just because, first off, it meant a lot who he beat for the U.S. Championship. He beat his NXT mentor in The Miz.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, they could probably fight for any title because they have such great chemistry in the ring and on the mic. But then, not only that, Daniel Bryan went on to show that not only can I be U.S. champion, I also beat a future WWE champion in The Miz. And then it's not like he just like walked around with the championship. He had great matches. Personally, my favorite match is him versus Morrison versus Miz. Basically, that was a False Count Anywhere match.
That was definitely a fun one.
Well, Dean Ambrose, like, he was great in the moment itself when he won because it's pretty iconic whenever like everyone in a faction is holding gold, whether it's like, oh, someone's holding a mid card and two people are holding tag. And outside of the pay-per-view where, you know, the Shield all win their respective championships, I saw Roman and Seth being more active as, you know, the tag team champions than Dean Ambrose as the United States champion.
Yeah.
Definitely agree with that. It was used more like a prop.
Yeah, like it was just like, hey, like we're all champions.
Yeah.
Defending champions, no.
True. Yeah.
That was pretty important.
True. I'm gonna go with Ambrose though. I feel like because of them three holding the championships at the same time, kind of set the tone for what the Shield was. That from that moment on, that was the rocket ship from the Shield. Since that day, they all became the most important and talked about faction. It was supposed to be a faction for Punk, but that shifted when they all won the championships, and that became the favorite group and kind of shifted away from being Punk's bodyguards. And yeah, I get it. Like Ambrose didn't really do much. I believe most of his title defenses were ended in a DQ.
Oh
But
yeah.
like it was still they made him look strong. They made him such a heel by not being able to defend it properly.
Very true.
And
Yeah.
I do think I remember he lost it in a battle royal to Sheamus.
Yeah.
And that was not
Nasty
smart,
work.
but it also
Yeah.
was smart at the same time because he didn't get pinned for it. You know what I mean? He lost because he got thrown over the top rope.
True.
So he can say that, hey, he didn't win it. He didn't lose it properly either. Which also made him look strong going forward. And I feel like that reign, even though people could say it wasn't good, it still set the tone for Dean Ambrose's career in WWE since that day that he won it. I love Daniel Bryan's reign. I get why people would go after that one because that was the underdog story of the guy who got fired, was treated poorly by his mentor in NXT to then defeating him at I believe it was SummerSlam. Oh, Night of Champions.
It was Night of Champions.
But it was still a big moment for Daniel Bryan, and I love that title reign. I think that one also set the tone for his career as well. But I just feel like Ambrose in that moment of the Shield just took off from that moment that he won it, and that pretty much told us as fans that this is how big they're going to become, I guess.
That is very true. Yeah.
So even though Daniel Bryan won this matchup, I still not mad at it, but I just feel like Dean Ambrose had the better U.S. title reign from there.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I say I think Daniel had the more successful. I think Ambrose had the more important because it did a lot more for their character development and their careers overall.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan, I remember that moment he won. He wasn't even supposed to come back to the company, which is wild.
Yeah.
They just brought him back.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that in a bad way, like I didn't want him back, but like, you know, it was crazy that he got fired for choking out Justin Roberts with the tie.
Yeah.
It was just wild. And it's like, geez. But yeah, it's cool. And both reigns were, I think, important, but in different ways.
I was thinking Ambrose was stuck in a time where like the majority of the people on Raw were like main eventers. So he had a small amount of people he can actually like feud with.
Yeah. Yeah.
That does actually make sense. That's actually why he probably lost a lot of his matches by DQ.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, if they were in different, yeah, that is true. But there were a lot of people that were kind of like mixed around a little bit. Like some main eventers were in the mid card scene, and vice versa.
I remember Ambrose faced RVD at one point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out RVD.
Yeah, exactly.
What was that? 2013, right?
Yeah, I think it was the pre-show as well.
Oh, that was the pre-show.
I forgot.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy because you're thinking of RVD is challenging for the United States Championship
on a pre-show. It's not like the best thing to think about.
Yeah, maybe Ambrose was champ just at a wrong time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I guess makes sense for that.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. But yeah, Daniel Bryan still makes it to the second round, regardless. Next one. If only this match happened in real life. Rusev going up against Samoa Joe. I'm gonna kick this one off because
kick it off.
I'm gonna choose Rusev. I feel like his first one alone, because I remember he won it again for like a shorter time, but the first one where he immediately got to the main roster and became a dominant champion and a dominant superstar. Just like Ambrose's, as I said before, like his first title reign was more important and a dominant reign. You know, like it's just he immediately feuded with Cena like a couple months after. That whole story of him heading to WrestleMania and him being that anti-USA gimmick, which I get, like, you know, many people find that annoying because it happens like repeatedly whenever there's a foreign guy that comes into the company. But I feel like this one worked. This one helped him and boosted his career even with the loss at WrestleMania. and it elevated his career in WWE from there to where it made him look strong. I think he beat Mark Henry and Big Show as well during his reign. He had segments with them where he beat them down. He was just a phenomenal heel, and I think yes, I get it. The second one wasn't really that memorable because again, it was a shorter reign, but like I think the first one just set the tone for his career, and it made everyone look at him differently as that. Oh God, he's a major heel, gets heel heat, and made him look dominant. So I'm gonna go with Rusev. Uh, Enigma, I'm gonna go with you. Who do you have, Rusev or Samoa Joe?
So I gotta go with Rusev because his debut is done right, and his climb
Yeah,
towards the United States Championship is just perfect. He
yeah,
beats Sheamus, so that's already a former champion, a world champion in his own right.
yeah,
And then, like you said, he's beating like Mark Henry, he beat Big Show, to the point where when he gets to Cena, it doesn't feel like Cena's stepping down. It feels like Rusev is
yeah,
so good, so dominant. Someone at a John Cena level has to come get him. Someone at the John Cena level has to take this man down.
yeah,
Wow. Samoa Joe, his U.S. title run was interesting. I think it could have been similar to Rusev's. I just don't think it was ever executed properly. While if you go character for character, I think Joe is arguably like the better character than Rusev with Lana. But for the time when he was champ compared to Rusev's, Rusev was basically forcing the roster to change. You couldn't get a Kofi, a Dolph Ziggler, a Zack Ryder, a Kalisto to stop Rusev. You had to get
yeah,
a John Cena, a Mark Henry, a Big Show. While
yeah,
Samoa Joe kept that image of like, anyone can kind of beat me.
yeah. That is true.
That is actually a great
I didn't.
description of it, to be
Yeah,
honest.
100%. Well, I didn't think of it that way. Joel,
Yeah, I have to go with Rusev.
Rusev.
What everything that Enigma says right, but also beating Cena in a referee stoppage in your first couple months in the company. Come on, come on, put the guy to sleep, and then the ref had to stop it. I know he lost to Cena and he should have won him. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff, but he got that big win over Cena only after a couple months in the company. Who else does that?
Yeah,
That's how dominant his reign was. Joe, yeah, he was still putting on good matches, but nothing really happened during the title reign. Just felt like he defended it in I hate to say it, filler matches.
yeah.
There
Pretty
wasn't
much.
they didn't really put him in no real story. So yeah, that's why I gotta go with Rusev.
Didn't he beat Rey Mysterio for it too, or did Rey Mysterio beat him for it?
Rey Mysterio beat him, then Rey had to vacate it and gave it back to Joe.
Yeah.
Ugh, that wasn't good. I don't remember. That was 2019 during the
That
year
was lazy booking.
yeah,
Yeah. It was like let's just give it back.
yeah. It was like
Let's
what?
pretend it never happened.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
let's pretend it never happened.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I
Rusev with
feel
the sweep though, that's crazy.
yeah. I mean, I feel like I saw that one coming because I love Samoa Joe, but that reign was just
Comparing the title reigns, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Maybe if it was against some other title reign, it would have been different. But I feel like Rusev was just on a different level. It was insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, next round we have Chris Jericho's U.S. title reign, going up against Seth Rollins, the U.S. title reign. Enigma, I'm gonna start off with you with this round. Who you think was the better U.S. champion?
Oh man.
This is
I
Liz Filler.
really wish I could have said Jericho. But Seth, for some reason, maybe it was like just the image itself. But even though it was just for a month, Seth
Mhm.
Rollins as the United States and WWE champion, that's iconic. That's legendary.
Yeah,
Beating Cena, interference or no interference, the first ever person to hold both
yeah,
the United States and WWE championship, unless you want to count Shelton Benjamin.
yeah,
Just and then pulling double duty on the night he loses it. He's facing Sting and John Cena. There's
yeah,
just too much. There's too much to credit Seth. Wow, with Chris Jericho, he was amazing. The win was he basically won it in a handicap match.
Yeah, I mean, kinda. I mean, even though the interference happened late in the match, um, I'm gonna go with Rollins too. But like,
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't like the way it ended. It shouldn't have having Jon Stewart come out and just hit Cena because he didn't want to see him break Ric Flair's record. That was a
That was kind
terrible.
of dumb to me.
Yeah, yeah, that wasn't the best way to. If anything, you could have had him beat Cena clean, but I feel like the story of like title for title, the implications were big. Even though, like you said, Enigma, the title reign was short, it felt important heading into it, and it felt important during that 1 month.
Honestly, I think if they had to keep the interference, you may as well have had Triple H do it.
Yeah, or something like somewhere. Or J&J Security would have been more believable because that was during that time too.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
Jon Stewart just felt so weird. Like
That was random. Like that was just out of nowhere. Like, he just came through and
It
just
was a bad moment.
yeah.
if you want to get him on TV,
moment.
sure, but in the main event, in like probably arguably like the biggest title match in like SummerSlam and like I want to say like all of the 2010s. Like John Cena versus Seth Rollins was probably like the biggest SummerSlam match.
And I feel like he also held it during his best year of his career in WWE.
Yeah, he definitely did. John Cena. Oh, I like to believe John Cena brought back life to the mid card.
Yeah, yeah. And again, like all Cena's stories. I know we're talking about Rollins, but I know Cena's stories made it important, and especially this one against Rollins.
To bring back what I said about like Rusev being so dominant, that like people like a John Cena and Mark Henry and others had to go after him. I also felt the same way about John Cena when it came to Seth Rollins going after him.
Very true. You needed a big dog after him.
Exactly. Yeah. So Joel, who do you have, Rollins or Jericho?
I'm gonna go with Jericho.
Okay.
Because it all led to the Festival of Friendship.
Oh.
Yeah, that was during that time. Even though I hated that decision of the U.S. Championship, but sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but it was a great turn, and that's the only reason I'm giving it to Jericho.
Like you just broke my heart. Why is my name on it?
Yeah.
Great moment, man. Shout out Jimmy Jacobs. Great moment, man. The list, baby.
Oh man,
that was a great story.
You knew I couldn't see Jericho go down with a 0. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, even I was trying not to say that because like I hated that. I mean, not the story, but it was like more that they had to get rid of the Universal belt for that, and it was like, oh, why? But like, someone had to say it, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, it was just I hated that decision of like the best story had to get ruined because Brock Lesnar didn't want to participate in that match or something.
Yeah,
it was the best story going on and around that year too. Like going into Mania.
It really was.
That should have been the main event or the first match. If anything, it was second on the card.
Second on the card is insane.
They just threw it in there.
Yeah, for real. For real. That's nuts. But yeah, Seth Rollins does move on to the next round. Joel, we're gonna have you kick off this next matchup. We have The Miz going up against his best rival, Dolph Ziggler. Who do you have as a better U.S. champ?
I'm gonna give it to Ziggler.
Ooh.
I think Ziggler just. I looked at it based off of just matches for this one. I think Ziggler had better matches than The Miz was having at that time. I watched a couple from that time, and Ziggler was Ziggler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, I'm taking off points from The Miz because he lost it to Bret Hart.
Yeah. Oh god.
And then also his second run was trash when he won the belt again. At least Ziggler's like, I think he's had 2 or 3 runs. I think 2. Ziggler's had. First one had all the great matches. He was killing it on SmackDown, I believe. And then the second one, what you gonna do? You can't always hit oil. You can't always strike gold.
Yeah. Understandable. I'm gonna go with The Miz here though. Because I feel like kind of with what Ambrose did with his U.S. reign, it was like that was The Miz's first singles belt. And even though technically this first reign started in 2019, 2009, it kind of defined and set the tone for his career going forward after that. for a while prior to his singles run, we had seen him for a bit teaming with Morrison. And once that draft happened and he won the belt, changed his gear, changed his song, it pretty much told us this is going to be our guy in the future. We're putting everything to this guy, even though it wasn't really the best. Like you said, he lost it to Bret Hart, and he was teaming with Big Show at the same time when he won the
Love
belt.
Show
Oh
Miz.
my
Yeah,
goodness, I forgot about that.
yeah. So it's
Forgot he was doing both.
Didn't Miz hold like the U.S. tag and like Money in the Bank?
I think he won the Money in the Bank shortly after he lost,
It
or
was
maybe
after
he
he
did.
lost?
Maybe it was during. Maybe it was during.
Keep
But
talking. Keep talking. I'm gonna look it
yeah,
up as we're.
and I feel like the visual. Yeah, I know people don't like Show Miz, but it's like
I love
think
Show Miz.
yeah, I love Show Miz too. I thought it was underrated, and people hated it, but I loved it. And the fact that he came out with 3 belts at the same time was crazy.
Like, that was
And
something we weren't like seeing often. Before we were saying like belt collectors. You had Miz with like tag titles, U.S. title.
yeah, so
Face.
Miz is the OG belt collector. No one talks about that.
So he held the U.S. belt
yeah.
and Money in the Bank at the same time.
So there you go.
So he
There you go.
must have won the Money in the Bank shortly after he lost the tag belts.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
So
And I forgot he was carrying around both tag belts. I forgot
Yeah.
that was a
that
time.
was both of them. Yeah.
I miss those designs.
I know.
Yeah,
Me too.
those
Those are
were
my favorite designs that they had.
great designs, and then they went to the penny.
The penny.
God, I hate the pennies.
Oh God, that's funny. But I think that was a great time for the Miz, and again, I think that really set the tone for his future. And I just found, it wasn't the best title reigns, but it was they knew what they were doing with the Miz. And again, to be able to give him the Money in the Bank right after, he went on to win the WWE Championship, pinned the Randy Orton, won the main event at WrestleMania the year after. And I feel like it all because of the U.S. belt. I feel like that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, it all kicked it off for him.
So yeah, exactly. So that's why I have to go with the Miz. Enigma, you're gonna have to do the tiebreaker here. Who do you have, the Miz or Dolph Ziggler?
So I gotta go with Dolph, just because the Miz does so much better like after the U.S. title, but also when Dolph had it, it was during a time of he didn't really need to show like the whole character stuff. Like, yes, he was doing the whole "Hi, I'm Dolph Ziggler" shtick.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
during his U.S. title run, for me personally, this is where I started to realize, oh, Dolph Ziggler can go. Dolph Ziggler is an amazing seller. Dolph Ziggler can give you a great 5-minute or 15-minute match. So I think we would never have gotten these realizations about Dolph Ziggler if he never won like the U.S. title.
That is so true. That is so true.
That is really true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is where we got like the first taste of Ziggler to see like what he was capable of.
Right.
Yeah, they were able to put faith into him as well. I mean, it was like, I guess they saw something in him too, but maybe wasn't the right time to put the world title on him yet, I guess. So I think the U.S. belt was their next bet during this time. I think he was ready for a while to be world champion.
Yeah.
It was just when they waited
a little too long with
Ziggler.
him.
I think they were late by just 2 years.
Oh yeah. I feel like during 2011 when he feuded with Edge, that was like the time where he did technically win it, but like it wasn't a counted one, I guess. Because didn't he give it back?
I wouldn't have been mad if like Dolph walked into Mania with it.
Yeah.
What year was that?
2011.
Was that?
That was right before Edge retired.
So I was like 26, right?
27, 26, 27?
Okay.
Yeah, around that time.
I can't remember what year he had.
It was 27.
Okay.
27, yeah. And then I don't think he had a match that year,
wow.
did he?
Imagine we would have walking out of Mania, we have Ziggler and Miz as our champions.
Oh, damn, that would have been
That
sick.
would have been like a stamp of like, this is a new era.
Yeah, that would have been
But then
that would
The
have been
Rock
crazy.
came out. Then The Rock came out.
Then The Rock.
Nah, shout out that time, man. But yeah, they're both amazing in the ring, like, and both of these title reigns really like kicked off their career.
They're really coming out parties.
Yes, exactly. That is so true. I feel like a lot, even to this day, a lot of people who win the mid card belts are like, this is the future, and it really builds them up, in a certain way. So we should be thankful for mid card belts. No one really gives them the flowers. Yeah, glad you came up with this topic. We did the IC belts, with Angel, your cousin Angel Joel.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah, so it was cool talking about that one, getting to see both mid card belts getting some love. Next matchup we have John Cena taking on Kevin Owens. I'm gonna kick this one off because I feel like it is I don't want to say obvious, but it is the clear winner for me. That's John Cena. I feel like the U.S. Open Challenges was the best time during that year. He put over some top guys, like we said, Rusev, Rollins, even Kevin Owens himself with the debut of him on the main roster with the NXT belt. Again, it was just some of the best, best matches we've seen on TV, not just on pay-per-views, on TV.
I also think this is the best version of John Cena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like I know people talk about Super Cena, but this was Super Cena in a good way because he was putting over people in the process. To be like, yeah, this has got this guy. Put over Cesaro, Sami Zayn when he was still in NXT,
Cody when he was Stardust.
Yeah, and then a lot of guys. I remember that whole Sammy when Sammy came out in Canada, his hometown, and it was like that big poppy guy, and the whole. Even though he hurt his shoulder and that kept him out of action for a bit, I just feel like
that was a big moment.
Yeah, it was a big moment, and a lot of people had that during his run. Kevin Owens, I liked it. I believe he won it from Jericho during that Mania match they had. And then he had like the whole like just the America type thing, but he came on his suit. He was like that campaign, kind of like what Chelsea Green's doing right now.
Yeah.
It was pretty much the same thing. It was cool, but like I felt like because of people not getting what they wanted with the Universal belt and the championship in the main event that should have happened at that year's WrestleMania. I feel like for me personally, it was like, this is what we're gonna do with Kevin Owens. You know what I mean? So I didn't feel right that he was holding that belt. So I didn't really care too much about it.
I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah. Who wants to go next? Who wants to say their opinion?
I'll go next. So I think we're all going to say Cena, but I'm picking Cena because when it came to the U.S. Championship, yes, we prior just gave Rusev his flowers, but how many people really benefited from that, like the matches itself when it came to like Cena? Like you're fighting for the U.S. Championship, you're fighting John Cena. Just alone, Sami Zayn debuted against John Cena. Not a lot of people can say that. And he debuted for United States Championship. It made a star in minutes in Kevin Owens. I remember Kevin Owens from his Ring of Honor days and his NXT days, but like one of my friends knew nothing about him. And then when he saw him face Cena, instant Kevin Owens fan. That's not going to happen if someone not John Cena would have done like the U.S. Open Challenge.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I feel like that was the same thing with Kevin Owens. I mean, I knew of Kevin Owens from NXT, but I think that match with Cena was like, this is the guy to do it. They're really putting their faith to beat him.
This is the next guy, yeah.
And then I think they had a non-title match, and Kevin Owens beat him for it. Now it's like, oh shit, this guy beat Cena.
Clean,
exactly. All it took was the pop-up power bomb, and it was
that
like
was
shit.
Insane. Yeah, I still can't believe he won clean.
Yeah, exactly. That's the real takeaway. Like Cena loses clean.
Yeah. So the fact that Cena was able to put all these guys over, in one title reign was insane. And it's legendary. I don't know if any open challenge could top that from now on.
I think Seth Rollins comes to like the best second place.
Yeah, but
definitely,
yeah.
But like no one's touching first place like Cena.
Cena, during this time, Cena 2015 to me is like prime Cena. This is like Enigma said, this is the best version of John Cena we've had ever, I think. And like you said, putting over guys, not even just putting them over, but also giving them the platform to go against a guy like Cena, where we had him go against like Neville, Cesaro, Bad News Barrett, Zack Ryder. You know what I mean? Everybody was stepping up, and it wasn't like 4 minutes, body slam, 5-knuckle shuffle, match over. They were going like 15 minutes. They were giving them time on Raw. So it was a real fun time. So I got to say John Cena.
Yeah, and I remember even Bret Hart called out Sami Zayn, which made it that match.
And did the announcement.
Yeah, they made that match. People thought it was Bret Hart he was facing. It was like, oh shit, and then it was Sami Zayn.
I would have laughed if it was
Bret. That would have been insane.
That would have been cool, but not like in like the serious way, but like it would have been cool to see like old
Like
Yeah,
John
exactly.
Undertaker,
Like,
John
Cena.
oh,
Cena
what
versus
happened?
Bret Hart on Monday Night
Yeah,
Raw.
yeah,
What an advertisement.
yeah. But yeah, it was a cool time. That was a fun era of John Cena
Yeah,
on the best way.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next matchup we have Zack Ryder against Santino Marella. Joel, do you want to kick this one off?
It goes to Santino.
Santino.
Oof.
Santino, Zack Ryder held it. I think he held it for a month and lost it in 2 minutes.
I guess.
Tough. I couldn't even tell you about Santino's run. I'm just telling you, I know what happened with Ryder's run, and I can't let him win this. All
Ah,
I know is Santino held it longer.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
That's the only thing I know about Santino. But for Miz to hold it for a month and then also lose it to Swagger in 2 minutes is insane to me.
I
You
know.
didn't have to do him like that. Didn't have to do my guy like that.
okay.
Enigma,
Go next.
Enigma, go ahead.
Okay, so as like the kid in me, Zack Ryder fan is coming out right now,
Me too.
but
Oh, I love Zack Ryder, man.
I'm gonna pick Zack Ryder because his journey towards the U.S. Championship is legendary.
Mm-hmm.
He got over via social media, which me and my friends talk about it all the time. They say it's the craziest take I've ever had. There is no being the elite, Sammy's vlog, or just wrestlers making their own vlogging series without Zack Ryder.
That 100% true.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000% true.
Like Zack Ryder is the pioneer of getting yourself over with
Yeah.
what you got. So to see him, so I gotta say this: he was getting chanted out while The Rock was out in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were getting "We Want Ryder" chants with Dwayne The Rock Johnson in Madison Square Garden.
Exactly.
How many people are
Insane.
getting out chanted with The Rock in their presence?
Yeah.
And again, to go back to the social media thing, never been done before. He was getting the petitions. He was getting endorsed by Cena to the point where it was kind of like a baby Daniel Bryan Kofi Mania kind of deal where we just couldn't ignore it.
Yeah.
Whether he held it for 24 hours or 24 months, the journey to it never going to be forgotten.
Exactly.
I got to go with Ryder.
Makes sense.
I'm gonna agree with you, Enigma. I'm gonna go with Ryder as well because that was the biggest underdog story that we had seen during that time. Even today, I guess. Maybe Kofi Kingston, Kofi Mania was better. I understand that because I was at Mania, but that was an organic story, and he got over organically.
Yeah, that one was like he did it himself.
Exactly. That
Like,
wasn't
and
their
the fans
plan.
just got behind him.
Yeah, it wasn't WWE's plan to push Zack Ryder, but he did it, and he got it, and he deserved it.
He did it himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yes, the title reign was short, and I know they did him dirty after that. But he was in big storylines following that too, with Kane, Cena, Eve Torres, and that whole story.
Oh man, yeah. Shout Ryder, man.
Yeah. So yeah, even though it wasn't the best title reign, it was booked like crap. But like it did do a lot for Zack Ryder following that story. And the crowd went insane when he beat Ziggler.
Yeah.
It was
that
like
pop was amazing.
It was like he won the Royal Rumble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I say it's like he won the main event of WrestleMania.
Exactly. Even better. Even better. And it was just a perfect time. They executed perfectly. I love Santino, but I can't tell you a single thing that happened in that ring. And it was longer. The fact that Zack Ryder was more memorable and it was less than a month, that even says a lot about the Santino's reign.
Wait, didn't Cena sacrifice his Royal Rumble spot to give Zack Ryder like the U.S. title shot?
I believe so.
Because I remember like Cena had to sacrifice something, and the fact that the idea like kayfabe wise, we're not gonna get John Cena in the Royal Rumble, and it's his choice because he wants to put over Zack Ryder.
Okay, I think that might have happened. I'm not 100% sure, but if that's true, then that's even more insane.
Yeah, that's even.
I'll look for the clip.
Yeah. Was it like an actual like storyline?
No. He had to. No, they did John Cena versus Zack Ryder, and Cena won. But it's the fact that like you could see the remorse in Cena's face. Like he didn't want to win, but he also didn't want to lose his Rumble spot.
Okay, that probably makes sense. But still, even John Cena didn't want to lose it. It says a lot about that time, man. It's insane.
True.
But shout out to Ryder. That was a great time in his career. Even though another championship reign of his was also bored like shit, which is another conversation for a different day.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Zack Ryder, good moment, bad runs.
Yeah. Good moments, bad runs.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, Zack Ryder does move on to the next round. Last matchup in the first round, we got AJ Styles going up against Cesaro. Who wants to get this one off? What do you need to?
I'll kick it off. 100% Cesaro. 100%. From the matches he was having, from jumping back and forth from the main roster to NXT and putting on shows putting on classics on both shows, is insane to me. Cesaro during that time was a machine.
Yes.
And I'm not sure how long he held it. I know it was for a minute though. I want to say it was maybe like half a year, and he was just in Orlando on NXT, wilding out. You see him on SmackDown. It was just a great time for Cesaro. AJ, I think he had like 3 runs. It was cool. Nothing like the Cesaro run though.
Yeah.
I just remember the Cesaro one. It was like you would watch Raw, he would defend the belt, and it would be like this Wednesday on NXT on the network, he's defending the belt again. It was like, oh shit, like this guy's doing everything.
I think
so
he
that was just a
defended
fun
on
time
like
to
Saturday
be a Cesaro
Morning
fan.
Slam.
He did, right? I felt like that was I remember seeing that.
The guy was everywhere, man.
He was working. He was putting in the hours, man. He made sure. Yeah, I'm gonna bounce off that, and I'm also gonna say Cesaro too. It was like that guy, Cesaro during that time. It was like, yeah, he's always been a great wrestler, great in-ring talent till today. But I think his current run with the Death Riders in AEW kind of resembles that early Cesaro days, to where it was like he was like intense. Like he just went out there, beat people up, and left.
Yeah.
He was unstoppable. Many people may not have realized it, but he was unstoppable. It was like, how do we stop Cesaro from this? I don't remember who beat him on the top of my head.
Kofi
but
Kingston.
It was Kofi Kingston. Was it Kofi? Okay,
yeah.
So I thought it was him, but
Clean too.
Yeah. Even though that should have been a bigger moment, I don't remember that being talked about much. But it was like, that's a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
That was a big deal to beat Cesaro. I'm surprised they didn't bounce off of that after with Cesaro, because I feel like he could have been pushed to the moon from there, but I guess not. I don't know what Vince didn't see in him. That's a whole different conversation we can have for a different episode, but that's insane. But I feel like that also set the tone for Cesaro. AJ, was it cool? Yes, but I felt like it was also used as like a transfer type champion. You know what I mean? Like on to the next guy, Here's the title, on to the next guy. Kind of thing. I didn't think they took it serious with him. It was just probably for storyline wise, I guess, and fillers. But I think just Cesaro had an overall dominant performance as U.S. champion. Enigma, who do you have, AJ Styles or Cesaro?
I'm gonna have to agree with you guys on Cesaro. And like you guys said, like the man was everywhere. Again, bouncing from Orlando to the main roster to Saturday Morning Slam. When it came to Antonio Cesaro, that is the first gimmick we're introduced to.
Yeah.
And I think he had like the basic foreigner hates America or something like that. Like he had that gimmick.
Yeah.
And although we've seen that gimmick like 100 times over, we don't need to talk about the gimmick when what's in our face was the dominance of Cesaro, because he beat Santino, big whoop, whatever. But then he faces people like Miz, the Great Khali, and I wasn't the biggest Khali fan, but Cesaro versus Khali is probably one of Khali's best matches.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And that says something, to pull a great match out of the Great Khali.
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah, that's I didn't even think about that till now.
And then just knowing, like, after this loss, he only gets better. The only thing that stops him is like the machine doesn't get behind him.
Yeah,
very true.
That is true. And they should have. Big mistake. Mistake.
Never got behind him.
I don't even know why. That's insane, man. That is insane. Why would they not see that in him?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know they had him beat at one point too. That was huge.
Yeah, he was. All we saw from him every week was swinging people. Like, and it was like he did it to Big Show, Khali, anybody who was insanely big, he did that to. And it put on great performances against anybody. You know, all of his matches were entertaining. It was like, shit, Cesaro was that guy.
It's great that even like today in AEW, like you don't see him slowing down.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It
he's
kind of
still on the same
resembles.
pace.
Yeah, it resembles. He hasn't even aged a bit. Like
He has it.
I don't
He
know what
has
he's
it.
taking, but like he looks good for his age. He's like 40 something.
Him and
Really?
Shelton Benjamin must be taking the same protein.
Yeah,
Yo,
yeah,
shout
for
out
real.
Shelton too, because those two guys, wow.
Yeah, those are insane. He's the same. Sheldon's the same age as Adam Copeland.
Oh my god.
They don't look the same age.
That's insane.
They don't look the same age. No, no shit. Not shitting on Adam Copeland, but like, he looks like a 50-something-year-old man. Like he's supposed to be his
Yeah,
age. He looks
like
good for
he's
his
supposed
age.
to. Yeah, like
Yeah,
he's supposed to.
Shelton looks like he's in his 30s still, which is insane.
And moves like he's in his 30s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, first round is complete. On to the second round. First matchup in the second round, we have Kofi Kingston going up against Daniel Bryan. Enigma, kick this one off for us again. Who do you think was the better U.S. champion? It's gonna get tougher from here on out.
Yeah,
By the way.
now it's tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Welcome to the bracket show. This is how it is.
I'm gonna have to say Kofi Kingston.
Okay.
Just because you can feel that Kofi was comfortable. You never felt the sense of, oh, he's putting on a bad match, or let's have him do something better. Like, let's have him win the WWE title right now.
Yeah.
While at the same time, a lot of people were seeing Daniel Bryan and going, I could see him winning the WWE championship or the world title.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you just compare what he does after this, because I like his Team Hell No stuff better than his U.S. title run. Wow. Kofi has a lot of great mid-card title runs, IC, U.S. So, like, some of it I do say is either on par or better than, like, his New Day stint.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to, like, keep it with Kofi. Because, again, like, you never got tired and you never were, like, I guess in that time frame going, he should do more. Like, people loved mid-card Kofi.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Joel, I'm still deciding. Joel, who do you think? Kofi Kingston or Daniel Bryan?
I have to agree 100%.
Mm.
And it's only because I enjoy, like Enigma said, I enjoy more Bryan stuff after the U.S. title reign. Like, it was a great reign, but Kofi's title reign, like, they still, like, when they show a Kofi montage, those clips are in there. That was a fun time. And again, like Enigma said, we always looked at Bryan and was like, we could see him as champ. Like, what is he doing here? Kofi, I think people never put that expectation on him. I guess, I don't know, maybe because he was a smaller guy. I always loved Kofi. But it was always like, this is what he's supposed to be doing. And he's defending it how he's supposed to be defending it.
Yeah. That is true. I think I'm going to agree with both of you on that. I'm also going to go Kofi. I hate to go up against Daniel Bryan, but like I think that Kofi just put on better matches, and I don't think it should be looked at negatively that he was a good mid-carder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people would say like, oh, he's only good in the mid-card. He's never going to be a future champion. That could be a good thing. And for a while, Kofi Kingston was that guy. He was wilding out during that time. Even before when he was feuding with Randy Orton. That pretty much set the pace, and that should have been his Kofi Mania season. But like, to be able to say, "Hey, I'm going to rely on this guy to be the U.S. champion, IC champ," and he put on banger of matches every single time. Again, as I mentioned in the first round, that match where he won it against Sheamus in that tables match, that was crazy. Not even that spot where he won it; it was just that whole match was just crazy. And he did everything. He was so entertaining during that time. That's why people love the mid card scene because of someone like him. Daniel Bryan, we all knew like from the moment because of his history prior to WWE, he was a big star outside of WWE, so they knew they were going to treat him right, that he was going to be a big star one day. So, but Kofi was like, it was fun to watch. It was insane, and I love Kofi. I think he really defines the mid card scene, and I'm gonna have to go with Kofi. I love Kofi. I love his in-ring ability, and I think he deserved every single part of his flowers from even the mid-card scene, which no one really talks about much.
Also, I love his Jamaican gimmick.
Jamaican gimmick.
Yeah, that was different too. That was I think he wasn't actually Jamaican. I think he was from West Africa, I believe.
Oh yeah, of course. He was.
But like, he made the best of it. It was good. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's different. So it was still cool to see. So shout out to Kofi Kingston. No one talks about his mid card reign.
And he's still all reliable because when they need to put a tag team over, Who they put him against?
The New Day. Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's always been that guy to put on great matches and help people get over and make people look good while also making himself look good.
Exactly. So shout out Kofi. Now next matchup in the second round, we got Rusev going up against Seth Rollins.
Ooh.
This is a tough one. Joel, do you want to start this one off?
Yeah, I'll start it off. I'm gonna go. The Seth Rollins one was cool because of all the like double pick champs, like all the double champ picks,
Yeah.
and the moment beating Cena, like that was a big moment. But Rusev, that being his rookie year, you know what I mean? Like him coming out not so long before that, having that reign he did, but like beating Cena, becoming the monster he was. Not only beating Cena, but having a referee stoppage. That was like, I know I keep saying that, but that was big. To beat Cena that way, that's huge. I know now Cena's older. We saw him get beat up by Solo and stuff. Like a lot.
Yeah.
It didn't have the same effect when Solo beat him than when Rusev beat him. But if you think about it, it happened the same way, trying to put them over. But Rusev meant more because at that time, Cena was 2015 Cena.
That was Super Cena.
Yup, that was
Yeah,
Cena
that was
that was in
Super
his
Cena.
prime.
Yeah.
So like, that's why I have to put Rusev.
Yeah.
Shout out Rollins though, that was a great month or month and a half he had the belt. But Rusev just had that dominance.
That is true. Enigma, who do you have, Rusev or Seth Rollins?
Damn, this is tough.
Do you want me to go first so they can think about it a little bit, or?
Yeah.
Hey, cool. Because I'm gonna go with Seth Rollins. I agree with you. I do love Rusev's reign. They did a lot more for Rusev going forward, but I feel like they had a tough time trying to capitalize more with his career afterwards, which they should have. I mean, you had a guy who everyone hated. They could have kept that going. They had the ball rolling, but they just stopped the ball from rolling, if that makes sense. But I feel like it's Seth Rollins. I feel like, again, I said this before in the first round, it was just that was one during the year of his career. He was on a roll. He went from winning the Money in the Bank to winning at WrestleMania to beating Cena to beating Sting. A lot happened that year, from J&J Security, the Authority. That was prime Rollins. And yeah, technically he did lose again to Cena for the title, but no one was able to stop him. And he was that guy that year. He was, in my opinion, more over than Rusev was that year. And all that happened the same year. Rusev beat Cena. Rollins beat Cena the same year. But I think Seth Rollins' win meant more to his career than Rusev did to his career. Because I think they were able to trust Rollins from then on out to be like, he's our guy. He's our heel. He's the biggest heel. We're going to put him on our back. And say this is going to be the guy going forward. So that's why I'm going to go with Rollins. I mean, it was tough. I mean, I could have gone either way, but I'm going to go with my guy Rollins. Enigma, so the tiebreaker here. Who do you have?
Okay, so I took a lot of thinking, but I'm going to go with Seth. And the reason for that is it was a short run, yes, but everything that happened, build up and all from their first match, yes, Seth broke Cena's nose, and this was also during the time like a lot of people were saying like, oh, Seth is a bit dangerous in the ring, or he needs to like calm it down. But we got arguably like one of Cena's best matches in that year against Seth Rollins on a random Monday Night Raw, and then this is a little bit before he wins the U.S. Championship, but Seth Rollins dropped down to what Cena was doing. He did his own little open challenge, and I don't know if you guys remember this. Adrian Neville came out, and that's where I became a fan. And they had a match. They had one of the greatest fake outs in WWE history for me. But it also is the day I thought Neville should be WWE champion. So the fact that Seth Rollins first had a match with Cena, he lost, he looked great in defeat, then decided, let me stoop down to Cena's level, do what he can do, retain his championship, and then go on to face John Cena, win the U.S. championship. And then, again, imagery is pretty much everything when it comes to moments in wrestling. The image of, like, double champ Rollins.
Yes.
And then just on paper, how great does it look that you're fighting John Cena and Sting in the same night?
Yeah.
Like, I know Chris Jericho, like, beat it into the ground that he beat Rock and Stone Cold in the same night. But Imagine if Seth would have won and he could say, "I beat Sting and Cena on the same night."
Two also stars in the business that no one. That's not. If you tell someone now that happened, people be like, "No, no way that happened."
Yeah, then you just show them on Night of Champions,
Yeah.
and
He
you're just like,
almost
"Whoa,
killed
Seth
Sting,
faced
but
those two guys."
Yeah. Yeah. Which is insane. Shout out to Seth though, because that was a great year for him. Great year.
I think it's like his top 3.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, we have 2 of the final 4 set in stone. One of the other next matchups in the final in the next second round, we have Dolph Ziggler versus John Cena. I'm going to start this one off. I feel like it should be Cena with this one because I feel like again Cena had the best U.S. championship run in the last 15, 20 years. No, again, and I know we say Super Cena. We said this multiple times this episode, probably a lot in our lifetimes. But this was used, like the term Super Cena was used in a good way because look what came out of that. Future stars in the making who are still killing it today. A lot of people became fans of certain stars because of those open challenges. People who we thought wouldn't even get a chance. We knew they weren't winning it. We knew they weren't winning or beating Cena. We didn't know who was going to beat Cena. We wish it was somebody that was like up and coming or a surprise defeat. I feel like when Rollins won it to add on with the previous matchup, it was like, oh, that got even more heat because he, yes, technically someone helped him win it, but it was like, oh, he beat Cena. Now we can't really see the open challenges for a bit until he wins it back, probably. But I think during that time, this is probably the best reign, in my opinion, of the U.S. Championship, not just between those 10 years, but in general. So I'm going to have to give it to Cena. Who wants to kick it off next?
I'll go next. I'm also going to have to give it to Cena just because him holding the championship gave so many people the opportunity, the TV time.
Yeah.
For us as fans to get to know these people. I'm sure there were people like there were Cesaro fans, there were Cody fans, there were Ambrose fans. I think Luke Harper challenged at one point. I
Yeah,
can't
he did.
remember. There are Luke Harper fans, but like I was telling my friend, when it comes to like wrestling and becoming a fan, I think every wrestler starts off with one fan in each venue, and then you walk out with 10 new fans.
True.
With like this open challenge, we were getting like waves of new fans, like people talking about Cody, and a lot of people hated the Stardust gimmick. But when he faced Cena, a lot of people were like, "Oh, dude, I really hope he turns back to Cody Rhodes because that match with Cena was amazing." And then people were talking about Luke Harper, and people would talk about Ambrose. People were hoping that Cesaro would be the one to beat Cena just because they loved his first run and think about how huge it would be to beat Cena. And not just his first run, but I also think in the second run, I think Cena losing the championship and then it going for other people, because I know he loses to Rollins and he loses to Rollins and he gets it back, but then he loses it to Del Rio and then Del Rio loses it to Kalisto.
I remember that Del Rio one. I forgot about that.
I think despite how people feel, personally, I wasn't a fan of like Del Rio's mega push.
Yeah.
It's still huge to beat John Cena, especially because even though it's his second run, we were all hoping, oh, we're about to get those U.S. Open Challenge Classics again.
Yeah.
So for Del Rio to beat him, we're like, oh, wow, like someone beat Del Rio. I mean, someone beat Cena, and it was, faster than what it took Seth.
Yeah, that is true.
So Cena just like looks good in victory and defeat. Yeah. Wow, Dolph, it was just his coming out party. I think the only person like truly benefited from his run was himself.
That is true. Joel, who do you have, Cena or Ziggler?
Cena. Open challenge. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
The open challenge is gonna carry this man.
Yeah, probably. So last match,
man. That was a time.
It was a great time. 2015 was the best year in general, and 2016
really was.
Too. Yeah, and it was also because we had so many years that was just like it was either good or just bad.
Yeah,
2015 was actually a great year.
It was, man. Fantastic year. Year.
What a time for wrestling.
Exactly.
Yeah, facts.
So last matchup in the second round, we have Zack Ryder going up against Cesaro. Enigma, we're going to start with you. Who do you have as a better U.S. champion between these two?
So when it comes to this is going to be fun. Cesaro, amazing rookie year.
Yeah.
Really. Dude was beating some top level talent. And again, he dragged a great match out of the Great Khali. Not a lot of people can say that. But I can't get over the fact that Zack Ryder got himself over with a non-WWE product.
Yeah. His own thing. He was like, you know what? I'm not doing that WWE stuff. I'm doing my own thing.
Like Vince isn't gonna help me. Triple H isn't gonna help me. It's okay. I have Twitter.
Yeah.
I have Tout. I have Facebook. You guys are gonna know. I have my own YouTube series. I personally love the Internet Championship. Zack Ryder getting over again by himself. This was again before a lot of people were doing it. The pioneer of social media is what I like to call him. I think even though it was only for a day, Zack Ryder has my vote.
Okay. You're right, though. I do agree with you. But Joel, who do you have, Cesaro or Zack Ryder?
I'm going with Cesaro. Yeah, Zack Ryder, like you guys said in the first round, like the build up to it was amazing. But getting himself over without the machine behind him, that's a big no. You know what I mean? Like especially in WWE. But I'm gonna have to go with Cesaro just because, like I talked about in the first round, him hopping back and forth between NXT and the main roster. I think even though Zack Ryder got himself over, I think Cesaro put NXT on the map because a lot of people weren't onto NXT like that. So for one of the main roster champions to be defending his belt every week on NXT, you kind of had to tune in.
Ooh.
And that got a lot of people watching NXT. But then it's also like, oh, you're watching NXT for Cesaro because he's defending the belt. Oh, who's this guy? Who's Bo Dallas? Who's AJ Neville? It starts to snowball. So these guys that he's going up against, the top guys at NXT, are also getting eyes on them. So now when Cesaro loses the belt, people are still tuning into NXT because now they want to see what these guys are doing. So I think even though Zack Ryder, like I said, great moment, great like build up for it. I think Cesaro's had more of a
impact,
more of an impact for his career, but also NXT as a product.
Ooh, both of you made great points. It's tough, but I'm just gonna go with my heart's telling me to say, and I'm gonna go with Zack Ryder with this one, because I do think that moment itself of him winning it, I felt like you could say it happened because of his internet stuff, but it wasn't by accident. You know what I mean? It was deserved.
Yeah,
it was earned.
I agree.
And I love Cesaro, and I do agree with everything you said, Joel, about how he put NXT people, and he pretty much put in a lot of people into NXT because of his back and forth defenses on all shows. But I just feel like the importance of getting people over that's like, because social media wasn't big back then. YouTube, yeah, probably, but without that story of him and how he got himself over with his YouTube channel was probably influenced a lot of people today. Like you mentioned, Enigma in the first round, BTE, Sammy Guevara vlogs, all those things wouldn't happen today because of Zack Ryder's importance. And he knows how to reinvent himself. Look at how he reinvented himself after he got released from WWE. You know, like he knows how to invent himself, and he capitalized. He's smart, man. He's a smart guy who won a championship because he knew how to get himself over. And it was different. You know, you weren't able. Not a lot of people do that today too. People, I guess people would have taken notes of that, but you know, he was the only one that was able to do that since. And social media is a lot bigger today than it is back then. So, shout out to Zack Ryder. I feel like that was, to me, more important of a victory in a short title reign than Cesaro. Even though I love Cesaro, I loved all of his matches, but it didn't really do much for him, even though it should have been. But yeah, I have to go with Zack Ryder. This is an interesting Final Four. You got Kofi Kingston going up against Seth Rollins. I'll kick this one off. I think it's going to be Seth Rollins. Oh, sorry. Kofi Kingston, actually. I was going to say Seth Rollins, but I can't stop thinking of Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston felt like had more of an importance of how he was presented with himself. Even though like I said in the second and first round, it was the best career of Seth Rollins when he held it, but he was already a main eventer when he won it. And it was like that just added on to his already great year that he was having. It wasn't like he started that year with the U.S. belt, then just all of a sudden got better. He was already given that belt because he was doing a great job. But Kofi Kingston defined mid carders, and I don't mean that in a negative way. He was the mid carder, and that got him over. That organically got him over because how hard of a worker he was, and how bang of a matches he was having during his time as mid card champions. Um, so to be able to know that his hard work paid off with all the title runs he had as U.S. champ, IC champ, tag team champ, um, it really paid off till to this day. He's all reliable, like we've said. I think Joel, you said that in the last round. He's all reliable. So that's a lot about Kofi. So it has to be Kofi Kingston for me. Enigma, who do you have? Kofi Kingston or Seth Rollins?
So I was saying for all these rounds that like the visual of double champ Rollins, like that's amazing, and just the weeks that came to it, amazing as well.
Yeah.
But Seth went down, like you said, Seth was a main eventer. He was just kind of stat padding. This is the part where like you just kind of got to call what Seth was doing as stat padding. Yes, he beat Cena. Yes, he's the first and only guy to hold the U.S. and WWE Championship. While when you look at Kofi Kingston and you think of United States champion, you see old reliable. You see a reliable mid-carder. You see someone that everyone was going, oh, can't wait till Kofi wins. Not wins. Can't wait till Kofi defends the U.S. Championship against this up-and-coming mid-carder. And also, Kofi was a mid-card champion at a time where it was okay to be a mid-card champion.
Exactly.
Nowadays, people are mid-card champions, and people are also playing the waiting game of, oh, when is this person going to challenge for like the main championship, the world championship? Like, if you look at LA Knight, he just lost to Shinsuke, and a lot of people are saying, oh, LA Knight should now face Kofi. Should now face Cody.
Yeah.
So when you look at Kofi Kingston's US title run and no one going, oh, now we should go for like whoever was WWE champion at that time. But people are going, oh, can't wait till Kofi wins it back, because Kofi just had that much of an impact on the mid-card division.
That is true. That is true. Joel, who do you have, Seth Rollins or Kofi Kingston?
Kofi. To win this round, you actually have to successfully defend the belt.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking about.
Yeah, that is true.
But you're right about everything you guys said about Kofi. Like, we've been saying it for all the rounds. Like Nick said, I was gonna say he is. If you want to look up the definition of mid-carder, Kofi's up there.
Not in a bad way, too.
No, in the perfect way. He plays his role. He knows that those are the best type of wrestlers, that they know their roles and they exceed in them. They succeed in them.
That is 100% true. 1,000%. Kofi moves on to the finals. Great choice to put in the finals. But now we got to determine who else is going to the finals. We have John Cena and Zack Ryder. Joel, who do you have going to the finals?
This is the toughest one ever.
Yeah.
Cena.
Okay.
The open challenge.
The open challenge.
And again, you have to defend the belt successfully to win this round.
Yeah. I think he's been trying to get Zack Ryder eliminated since the
I
first
love
round.
Zack Ryder. You know how much I'm a big Zack Ryder fan. It's just crazy to me that we got two guys in the final four that have both held the belt for a month. That's insane to me. But I respect it, because I respect the how they got there. Like, I understand from your point of view. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like it's a bad thing.
Yeah, that is true. Enigma, who do you have, John Cena or Zack Ryder?
I want to agree with you, Joel, about the whole you gotta defend the belt this time. But right now we're looking at like two impacts in wrestling that both of these guys did. Zack Ryder, he impacted wrestlers that created, social media platforms to get themselves over. While John Cena, he created a platform for the mid-card division and for other people to get eyes. I'm gonna go with Zack Ryder just because of the impact he did. Like like you said, Zach held it for like a day, I think, like a day or a week, somewhere in that ballpark. But just again, the way he got there, it's only been replicated, and the formula is working. Being the elite, Sammy's vlog. I think even Uno has one. Like what Zack Ryder did, people are following, and it's working for them as well. To a certain level, you can say like AEW started because of Being the Elite. Being the Elite started because someone like Zack Ryder learned how to get himself over. Wow, we can look at Cena, and a lot of people benefited from the U.S. Open Challenge, especially like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. But when you look at people that try to replicate it, probably the best guy to do open challenges and succeed in a well manner is Seth Rollins.
Okay. Good picks. I agree with both of you. But if I'm going to be honest, it's got to be Cena.
I respect it.
I think Cena should be in it. Yeah, Zack Ryder did influence, and I did say that every single round prior. But if we're just talking about U.S. title specifically, John Cena impacted that belt more than Zack Ryder did.
Oh, hell yeah. The belt itself, dude, I'm not going to lie. I was using like his impact trying to carry him through this.
Yeah. I was going to say Zack. If it wasn't against Cena, I would have said Zack Ryder. But
Cena's too tough to go up against.
Cena,
it really is like, tough.
Especially that run. That run.
Exactly. And that was again, I said this the other rounds. That John Cena Open Challenge run was the greatest US title defenses as we've seen in at least my lifetime that I was watching wrestling. And I think no matter what, whoever has a good title reign now probably won't even top that. I think we can get close to it, but I think John Cena would still probably outshine them in terms of his defenses. And look how many careers it made out of that. Zack Ryder influences with his social media stuff, but I think John Cena made more stars than Zack Ryder did.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Yeah, like Zack, like you mentioned Enigma, like Zack Ryder technically started a company, if you want to say that. But John Cena, I think, started that, and like I just think his matches were more enjoyable.
I think John Cena also put eyes on NXT as well.
Yeah, exactly. He put over a lot of NXT guys, and like it was just what Joel said. It was more of he actually defended it successfully multiple times,
right,
over a course. And I hate to see Zack Ryder get eliminated, but like I feel like
if it was anyone other than Cena, I think I could have gotten Zack through.
No, to be honest, it's only because it's against Cena.
If it was Zack Ryder against Rollins or Kofi, I would have been, Zack Ryder.
Yeah. I mean, I would have even picked Ryder.
Yeah, exactly.
This is one hell of a finals now.
It is. Who wants to go first, Kofi Kingston or John Cena, to determine the best U.S. champion from 2010 to 2020?
I'll go first for this one.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, I also love the fact that when I picked this, I was thinking about like, when it came to the 2010s, who was really out there. Yeah. And to me, Kofi Kingston was like one of the greatest champions of the 2010s, whether it be IC US or tag. But when it came to his US championship run, to me, Kofi Kingston was like my top 3 reasons to watch Monday Night Raws.
Okay.
He was the perfect definition of a mid-carder without anyone batting an eye, getting tired of it, or wishing for him to like go higher.
Yeah.
In a good way. He brought excitement with the US championship. Like, Kofi lost, can't wait till he wins it back. Or Kofi's been champ for 2 months, but he's had like 10 great matches.
Yeah.
But that's benefited Kofi Kingston. John Cena, like, gonna have to bring up the US Open Challenge. Sorry, Joe, I'm gonna steal your bit real quick. But that US Open Challenge is legendary. It's been about, 9 years, 10 years?
10, yeah, caught up on 10 years. 10. Yeah, I know.
And I can't think of a better US Open Challenge, IC Open Challenge, any Open Challenge for that regard that compares to the level of good John Cena did than anyone else. The impact that guy did with the US Championship. Not saying that he couldn't do it with like the WWE Championship, but John Cena's US Open Challenge might be like one of his better title runs in his career.
Yeah. So you could go with John Cena this one?
Yeah.
Awesome. Joel, who do you have? John Cena or Kofi Kingston?
I'm going with Kofi Kingston.
Oh.
We are
Oh
going
wow,
with
we're on
Kofi.
the opposite sides now.
We are going with Kofi. I agree with everything Enigma said. We've been talking about for how many rounds now that Open Challenge was amazing. Kofi was doing his thing. He's the definition of a mid-carder. Everything that Kingston did benefited him and his future to get to the IC title, to get to the tag belts, to start new, you know what I mean? Like joining New Day and everything. Cena was, I'll put it in the way of a John Jones in the heavyweight division going down and fighting Conor McGregor at 160 something.
I don't know how to compare that to. So I don't.
So okay, it's like a 200-pound guy going against a 150, 160.
Okay.
They're two different divisions. It shouldn't happen unless the guy drops down weight. He was a heavyweight that was a how many time world champion going and just fighting mid-carders. Yes, he gave them the platform and everything, but he was really just, like, if you look at it a different way, he was just bullying them. It took a champion to come in, like Seth Rollins, and finally get the belt off of him.
Ooh.
Somebody at his caliber. So that's why I'm going to pick Kofi.
I love we were both ready to play devil's advocate.
Oh.
Yeah. Now y'all put me in a hot seat. Now
of course, you knew I had to, man.
No, you did it on purpose. Come on.
Not because I have arguments for both, because I just want you in the hot seat.
Oh, god damn it, man.
I didn't want any of these guys getting swept, so anything Enigma was going to say, I had a rebuttal.
I didn't think you were going to say Kofi.
Nah, shout out Kofi, man. I'm telling you, the definition of a mid-card champion.
Because I agree with both of your statements here, but like I don't know who to choose. Because either way, I think whoever I choose wins no matter what, and it'll be like wouldn't be mad at it.
And they're both, they're not like bad choices.
Yeah.
Plus, their reigns aren't that far apart from each other. Kofi's U.S. mid-card journey was around like 2010, 2011, while Cena was like 2015.
Yeah, they're different eras too. So I'm gonna, you know what? I'm not gonna be mad at this, but I'm gonna choose John Cena. I feel like I love Kofi, but like I think John Cena's title reign was more talked about even till this day, and it'll probably be talked about for a while. And Joel, I've talked about this too on our other podcasts that we do, where I say that this year he should win the IC belt and do the same thing with the IC Open challenges.
Yes, you have.
And I really want to see that too, and that U.S. Open challenge inspired that take from mine. And I really want to see something like that happen and hopefully put over more careers in WWE. I just personally think John Cena's one reign was the best we've seen in years, and till this day, I love Kofi. Kofi is one of the reasons why I love high flying wrestling, and he was the best mid carder of all time. And but like I don't look at it. Yeah, I don't really look at it like that. Like, oh, you have to be a mid card to win the U.S. belt. It is technically a mid card belt, yes, but anyone could win it. It's not like this person's a mid carder. He has to go up against the U.S. belt or the IC belt. Anyone can go for it. There's no specific rules on who challenges for what. But I just think that, like, again, John Cena, if
open challenge, baby.
Yeah,
open
I can't.
I was saying it all bracket. Open challenge.
Exactly.
It's not really to argue against
wonders.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. It fed families, what they say now. They fed families with that title reign. I love Kofi. Kofi's always been my guy, but I knew I was gonna regret it if I didn't choose John Cena.
Nah, yeah, definitely. I couldn't see none of them get swept.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kofi and Cena though, because this is probably the right choice of a finals.
Definitely, for sure.
I didn't think we were gonna get here, but I wanted it to get here.
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, I was hoping so too.
Yeah. Which is wild because those they ran the 2010s, man.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they basically did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to John Cena, who won the bracket for the best U.S. champion from 2010 to 2020. Enigma, before we go, I want you to shout out your platforms and where people can find you on social media.
Sir.
So, guys, thank you so much for having me here. Honestly, I love the fact that it's just nothing but a whole bunch of New Yorkers on one wrestling podcast.
Yeah.
You guys can find me on my wrestling podcast with my best friend Young Smooth at Talk for Glory. We are a wrestling podcast that covers AEW, WWE, New Japan, Stardom. Pretty sure like those big four. You guys can follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, things of that nature. We're also going to be dropping our 2024 awards, depending whenever this comes out. But make sure you guys check that out. You guys can check out our New Japan / AEW Dynasty and Wrestle Kingdom videos as well. And hopefully you guys can show up on Top for Glory as well.
Of course, man. Just let us know. We'll keep in touch.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun time. This was amazing. This was a great episode. This was a fun bracket, man.
We'll make sure to drop all the links to your socials in our description of this YouTube video so people can go subscribe to y'all and
go
follow
show some love, man. Show
Exactly.
some love.
Show some love to the Talk for Glory and Enigma. Again,
yeah.
Enigma, we appreciate you very, very much for coming up and coming on to this.
I appreciate you reaching out.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome. So again, season 3, episode 1 of the Fanatic Brackets. Nick, Joel, and Enigma. We'll see you guys next time.
Catch you.